Hear the whispers from within, balance to restore, ailings to relieve. Feel the nature keeping us, nature healing us, flowers, leaves, and roots within. Hear the mind calming you, soothing you, love and kindness inside out. Let the herbs from middle world heal. Welcome wellness, welcome wellness. It's revealed herbs, middle world herbs.
Hello and welcome to the Middle World Herbs Natural Wellbeing Series, where we talk about restoring and maintaining your health in safe and natural ways while incorporating both the physical and emotional sides of healing. We go live twice a week on Wednesdays and Thursdays at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and every week we talk about a different aspect of health. In today's episode, we're going to focus on immunity. Okay, so we'll be discussing immune support. I have some amazing different supplements as well. And I always have a special guest with me. It's Dr. Jacquie Leone. She is a naturopathic medical doctor and board certified nutritionist, psychology enthusiast. So go ahead and give yourself an introduction and how you got started on this path.
And thanks for having me. I am a naturopathic doctor, and very, very early on, as even a child, I can remember, if someone in the family having dinner out was going to get food poisoning, it was going to be me. If somebody had to go to the doctor and get another round of amoxicillin, it was going to be me. I was just such a stressed out, high-strung kid, and we didn't really eat that well in the house. It wasn't terrible, but it was more convenience food based. Fast food, frozen food, packaged foods. And so when I got older and I was having signs of anxiety and panic disorder and depression and weight issues and skin issues and all these things, it wasn't until I worked for a holistic clinic myself and they helped me draw the line between stress as a child, degrading my immune system, making me vulnerable to illness, and then chronic antibiotic use, ruining my gut health, which ruins and imbalances neurotransmitters and future immune support. And so I had been able to kind of connect the dots as early as about 19 years old when I had this job, and they were teaching me all these things, especially about, chronicity or lineage of disease processes, also Chinese medicine. I was getting introduced to acupuncture and things like that. So emotions creating disease states. And anyhow, just seeing the connection between your immune system and when it takes a hit, regardless of, stage of life, in my case, childhood, it really does set into motion a cascade of really bad potential outcomes if we don't catch them in time or learn to address them. So immune, just like all other subjects, but definitely immune health, because I think that was at the root cause of all of the other things that we really talk about: gut health, cognitive health, being able to sleep, all of that, depression, anxiety. A lot of that they're all kind of connected to immune health. So it's a really big topic, and I'm excited to talk more about it today. But yeah, I think just because I had personal experience with it, it made me very passionate when I was learning about it. And I love to help people with those types of topics because I've lived it. So I get it, and I wouldn't want my worst enemy to go through some of that stuff. It can, wreak havoc. So yeah, immune health is super important.
Awesome. All right. Well, before we jump into all of our Q&A, I want to introduce everyone to two of our supplements from Middle World Herbs, and they both provide amazing support for immune health. So we have our immune health formula. This one has quercetin and bromelain in it. And then we also have our Middle World mushrooms. And while we're going to be focusing on these two supplements today, I do have two more supplements over here from Middle World Herbs that are worth mentioning as well. And that is our prebiotics and probiotics, and also our berberine HCl40. Now, berberine, amongst many benefits, has been proven to support the immune health due to its high antioxidant properties. And of course, probiotics, that's something a lot of us know about. Those have been shown to impact our immune hearts. As we know, 70% of our immune system lives in the gut. So definitely a help there. And we're going to be talking more about that tomorrow. So keep those two in mind, the berberine and the Middle World pre and probiotics, as we're talking about immune health today. Also, be sure to hit the follow button. That would be amazing. That helps us all stay connected. And everyone who's hit it so far, Thank you. You guys are awesome for doing that. So to all of our friends and followers who are listening right now, if you guys have questions for Dr. Jacquie about immune health, just type them in the chat button and we'll be able to ask them live. So Dr. Jacquie, heart is the center of our cardiovascular system, lungs, our respiratory system. So what organ is the center of our immune system?
That is a wonderful question. So when we look at our immune system, you're absolutely right. There isn't a central organ, but there are aspects of the body, systems of the body that work together, tissues, I guess I should say. So the first one being our bone marrow, believe it or not. So stem cells, which are can be anything cells, right? They're blank slate. They're general cells that it's called differentiate or become different and have a multitude of roles, right? So red blood cell, white blood cell, this specific kind of cell, stem cells are produced in the marrow of the bone. So then all those cool different cells go out into the bloodstream. And we have an organ when we're born, the thymus, that helps make more of those. And then the spleen helps break down used ones and store unused ones. So we don't necessarily have a singular central organ. Instead, we have a couple of supporting roles kind of working together to carry the load. Last but not least, everybody probably knows this part of the immune system, but we have what are called lymph nodes. So the way I picture lymph nodes is it's a string of beads, right? So you have a string or a duct, and then you have the bead or the node. And then you have a string and a bead, and a string and a bead. Now there's nothing really pushing lymph through the lymph system, which is where bad cells go to die, new cells are created, exchanges are made, all those cells are cleaned out, happen in the lymph nodes. So again, there's no heart pumping it through. So that's why things like lymph massage, exercise, that's another benefit of exercise, is we're kind of wringing out those nodes. We're getting that lymph stuff to move through. So that's the importance of the lymph nodes. So those four things together is really what makes the immune system.
Okay, awesome. And so if you have a patient that comes in and complains that every single time a bug comes around, they catch it, what are some of the main things you're looking at to identify the root cause?
So I think there's a lot of things that can go into it, but part of my intake is to do what's called, a linear background. And so if you can look back, like in my story, for example, if you had chronic infections as a kid, a teen, or in your 20s, maybe a major health issue that you had to be put on IV antibiotics or any chronic or really big dose of antibiotics, right? Then we really want to consider history in your case. If you always get sick, your immune system took a really big blow and maybe never was able to come back or rebuild. So that's one of the first things that I look for is there a history there conducive to an imbalance in the immune system? The second thing I look at is not just history, but current state, meaning how stressed are you? I mean, there's huge correlation and studies up the wazoo about stress, degrading our health. Whenever we're stressed out, we're more likely to get sick, right? So I always want to ask about what's going on currently. And then obviously, to me, at least they're obvious, but just in case people out there might not know, are you sleeping well? What are you eating? And are you drinking water? Those are usually some of the most common things that I see in people who catch every bug, or I just can't seem to get my strength back, or ever since I got sick, I've felt really tired or fatigued or weak. Also we want to look for autoimmune disease, which is a big one as well. So there's a couple big things it could be. Most of the time, I will say in my practice, it tends to be diet and lifestyle related, as well as kind of addressing the microbiome thing from past stuff that's happened. And then in a smaller proportion, sometimes it is autoimmune, or sometimes it is, some sort of yeast or fungus overgrowth that we have to address. So those are some things I look for if people are chronically ill. We really want to get to the root cause and address that, because everything else will dissipate in most cases when you can approach it that way.
Yeah, totally. And unless they're 2 years old and then they catch every bug.
Yeah, and in that case, it's a super different thing that's happening. It's a different life cycle stage which you're experiencing. So instead of the immune system being degraded because she's probably not stressed about bills or about about calendars and social things, and she's just being too. So in the exact opposite way, hers is being built, right?
Yeah.
Where us in our age group, let's say, if we were getting chronically ill, it would be the opposite. So that just goes to show everybody that chronic infection isn't always a terrible thing, right? I think sometimes we get afraid and we want to like always stop and prevent every infection ever, but that's kind of how we stretch, how we adapt, how we evolve our immune system at least. So a little bit does go a long way in that case. Not all bugs are bad bugs, and you know that firsthand as a mom.
Their hands are in their mouth or touching everything. I mean, I took during like the peak of the pandemic, when Legoland was open, I took my little girls a lot. We had passes, and you're hand sanitizing constantly. But then my littlest would like literally put her mouth on the bar
on the Lego,
and I'm just like, yep, okay. So all that hand sanitizer, you're just licking the bar that we literally hold as the handrail. Awesome. Yep. So yeah, that's the building their immune system. That's all it is. Building.
Oh man, that's what I would tell myself. Like, you know what? It's just building the immune system. It's gonna be okay. We can weather the storm.
Fine. Yeah. And then when they do, it's
no. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and then when they do have colds, it is like they like get this close to your face and they just sneeze or cough right in your mouth. And you're like, awesome.
I was just gonna say, it's a family affair. It's a domino effect. Once one gets sick, most likely it's gonna run through the house. If not just the kids, but definitely the house, depending on contact and stuff. Because I agree. My niece is like, she always wants to cuddle too, and she doesn't feel good. She's really, I love her. So
which is like, you gotta soak it all in.
Yeah.
It's like those cuddles are the best, but at the same time you're like, all right, so that's like a double dose of like germs in my face. So and that's what it is.
Myself. Immune system building, like for both of us. It's gonna be okay. Totally. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we gotta get supplements and good food for all that. So we'll get into all of that. So for patients who are like stuck in that cycle where they're just getting reoccurring infections, what are some of the ways to break that cycle?
That's awesome to ask, because I'm sure there's people out there who are experiencing something like that. So just, I think first and foremost is getting them to make connections, just to reflect, right? Where is your health history? What's your current stress level? Are there things that maybe you're kind of dredging through or experienced, but didn't really recognize the potential consequences it could be having on your health now? So awareness is, to me, always the first step to change. How are you supposed to change if you don't know what needs to change or how it needs to change or what the problem even is, right? So creating an awareness with your health history, an awareness with your symptomology, your lifestyle right now is going to be first and foremost, because where your mind's attention goes is where our habits and behavior go. So get that right and aligned first. But secondly is avoid the stuff that's making you more sick. So if you're chronically ill, you're constantly battling a bunch of inflammation because there's a war going on in your body at all times between the bad guys, the pathogens, and then the good guys, or our immune system. So when we're adding fuel to the fire or salt in the wound, if you will, by drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes, again, increasing our stress, or limiting or cutting short our sleep when we're restoring, those are all adding inflammation. And so our body not only has to fight with the infectious agent, but now it has to fight all these extra things. Like, no wonder you're so exhausted if you're chronically ill and you do some of those things, right? Then we want to just really add some great stuff. Antioxidant foods, food is thy medicine, of course. Eat colors of the rainbow for a bunch of superpowers from plants. Again, antioxidant, anti-inflammation. It also helps, some foods are antimicrobial. They fight bacteria like garlic and onion and horseradish. And then obviously herbs and supplements, because they pack a bigger punch sometimes than food if you're not able, to eat consistently great foods all the time. So that combination is usually, those are the three things: get the mind right, remove the stuff that's causing more harm, and then add a bunch of stuff that's going to help address the issue. Those are really the best approaches I've found, at least in practice, to help people who are chronically ill.
Okay, and here's the follow-up to that. So let's say you start feeling like you're going to get sick. And I know we all know that feeling where you're like, oh no, it's coming. I'm about to get sick. Is there anything you should be eating specifically, maybe for breakfast, lunch, dinner, like something that might help you fight the infection quicker or make it so it never starts?
So that's an awesome question. And again, food is thy medicine, right? So let's practice what we preach here. So some things to keep in mind, because you can choose from a laundry list of foods, right? But there are a couple things to keep in mind. Number one, it's easy to digest. Oatmeals, things that have been stewed, soups, purees, apple sauces, fruit purees, things like that. Things that are going to be really easy on the body. Because again, it's at war. It's doing a lot of stuff. So we don't want to add digesting crappy food or fibrous food or a bunch of raw food, which is great when you can tolerate it. But when you're not feeling well, right, give your body a leg up, give it a little bit of a break, help it out, by cooking our food. So also certain nutrients are released in cooking our food that can be helpful to the immune system. But so anyhow, easily digestible. Make sure it's nutrient dense. So it's going to offer you a lot of nutrition. Again, a great cheat, if you're not sure, is eat the colors of the rainbow and lean proteins, whatever that means for you. If you're not plant-based, avoid processed stuff, dairy, sugar, greasy foods, fast foods, all of that stuff, obviously. Don't want to add insult to injury. So an example, and then the herbs, right? Food is medicine. So an example might be oatmeal with berries for breakfast, something really easy on the digestive tract, some sort of herbal tea, right? So if it's a congestion issue, eucalyptus or mint. If it's a tummy issue, maybe licorice or ginger. So that, those are two great things to have in the morning. If you want, you can have bananas are really easy to digest, have lots of carbohydrates, polysaccharides, as well as a lot of nutrients like potassium. We know that. So again, that's what I mean by nutrient dense, like thinking as food as our multivitamin and getting kind of more acquainted with what's in the food so we know how it's acting in the body. Soups are great. So chicken noodle, if you're omnivore, maybe a lentil or a rice and kale, or if you're plant-based, if you're pescatarian, maybe add some whitefish in there. Something that's going to, again, add nutrition and be very easy to absorb. So lunches and dinners can be soups, stews, or if you're feeling up to it, you can have a fillet of fish or some, 4 to 6 ounces of poultry. I would probably avoid red meat or highly processed meats, just because, again, it's more taxing on the digestive tract. We want to allow the immune system to do its job. Mushrooms as often as possible is going to be awesome. And then more herbal tea, like a turmeric tea is going to be great. Chamomile, echinacea, golden seal. These are all fantastic. So that's pretty much what a day, if you do feel like you're going to be sick, or like you're just run down and you're going to get sick, immediately stop all the bad stuff. That's first and foremost. Don't reach for that 3:00 donut or, have that full milk latte. Just stop immediately, because it's going to add to mucus production, inflammation, and just make your whole immune system work slower. Then focus on, again, eating the rainbow, easy to digest, nutrient dense foods, and you should be good. When in doubt, you can always do chicken noodle soup. It really does have a lot of nutrition in there that's going to help. So it didn't get the, rep that it has by not working. But yeah, that's just kind of, I think, a day in the life of someone who's not feeling well, what you could eat.
That's really good information, because I feel like in the past when I've been either about to get sick, sometimes you just want like that reward, and you're like, well, then just give me some ice cream, or like comfort food, which is the opposite of what I'm doing. So I would be like dropping zinc in my mouth and vitamin D, but then eating ice cream. Like, what? Hello, that like reverses it all.
Right. Yeah. So it's probably more like a break even at that point. But that's why I think just getting like a handful of plant-based or like anti-inflammatory versions of like what we crave. Like, I agree with you. Ice cream all the way. but a bunch of frozen bananas and, you know, some vegan chocolate chips, it's not exactly the same, but it does scratch the itch, and it's like taking parts of a multivitamin. You know what I mean? It's not adding insult to injury, but it still makes me feel comforted in a way. So for anybody who has similar issues, because I'm a foodie, so I will eat the bad thing if I don't have an option. But if I have an option and I know how to make it or access it, I'm going to do that because again, awareness, right?
Yes.
But if I don't have it and I don't know it, again, if you don't know what you don't know, how can you address it? Then I'm going to eat the thing that I think might be helping or not problematic, but is actually really causing more damage, you know?
Yeah, that's such good advice. All right, well, let's jump into our first supplement. So this is going to be our immune support. This one has quercetin and bromelain in it. It includes 500 milligrams of quercetin, and it has 100 milligrams of bromelain. That's per capsule. Each of these bottles has 60 veggie capsules in it, and it is $20.49 on Amazon. But during our lives, you, our special live audience, get a discount, so you get 20% off of that. So it's a really good deal. And Middle World Immune Support is an antioxidant powerhouse. So let's talk about the connection between antioxidants and immune health, Dr. Jacquie.
Yeah, of course. So antioxidants basically just prevent inflammation. So I feel like sometimes I'm a broken record with some of my stories or analogies, but it's just so effective in my opinion. So I'm going to stick to it. If you can think of another one though, I'm super open to it. So anyway, these things called free radicals happen, right? And they're going to cause damage to healthy cells. Whether it's pollution stuff, stress stuff, they can come from the outside, they can be produced on the inside. Free radicals just are a part of biology. And they are causing what's called oxidative stress. They're just these angry cells just running around damaging perfectly healthy cells. And some of those cells are immune cells. Some of those cells are tissues that make immune cells or break down immune cells or call into or stop and slow down immune cells, right? Because oxidative stress doesn't care. It's not partial to where it causes damage. It just kind of causes damage to healthy cells. And so what antioxidants do, because this oxidative stress is happening, that's like the war of the free radical damaging the good guys. And then, so the antioxidants come in as like, hey, let's talk about this, guys. And basically shares its electrons with the free radical, calming it down, giving it basically what it wants, which is neutralizing it and preventing damage to otherwise healthy cells. So now when free radicals aren't causing all this damage because of oxidative stress, because antioxidants came in, now all of these immune cells can be produced at a better, more productive or efficient rate. The cells and integrity of the tissues and the organs, making them, storing them, breaking them down, are all working better because the conditions are better because there's not a bully walking around damaging them, right? So prevent the bully, take some antioxidants or eat them. They come in food, supplements, herbs, they're all over, right? And that's why, I'm saying eat the rainbow. That's a really great way to know if you're eating antioxidants. So if you're taking antioxidants, you're supporting your immune health. It's just it's a pretty straight line.
Nice. Very good. All right. Well, just a reminder, we do have 2 other Middle World herb supplements that do have antioxidants. So we have our mushrooms and then we have our berberine as well. So those are some really big powerhouse antioxidant supplements. And here's our next question. So is taking antioxidants going to be helpful preventatively, or will it also be helpful to support us when we're already dealing with an infection?
Both, for sure. I mean, oxidative stress is happening every day, regardless of if we're sick or not, but a lot more when we are sick because we're going through nutrition, we're breaking stuff down faster, building stuff up faster. That's why we get so tired and need more sleep. So, it's absolutely both. Antioxidants are going to help across the board. So you take them and ideally are preventing, creating a good defense. And then when and if, you do get an infection or an illness or something like that, you're basically bouncing back more efficiently more quickly, less damage is being done, especially long term, because you primed with the antioxidants and then are ideally taking them during, which again, it shorten the duration and lower the severity. Who doesn't want to feel better faster, you know, and not go down so far? So yeah, that's the value of antioxidants all the time.
Okay. So other than antioxidants, are there any vitamins or herbs that are also immune supportive?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. One of my favorite home remedies that you can do that contain a bunch of plants slash herbs um, is make what's called fire cider. It is an old recipe. I'm not sure how it got its name. I hope that's not trademarked. If it is, I didn't mean it to. I learned it in med school and our herbal, basically in one of our herb making classes. But anyhow, it is all the antimicrobial, antiviral, immune supportive, digestive supportive, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant plants and herbs that there is. And you put together basically a bunch of garlic. Feel free to check it out online. But it's garlic, onion, horseradish, citrus like orange, lemon, lime. It's raw honey or manuka honey. And it's all in a maceration of apple cider vinegar with the mother. So like the cloudy good stuff. And you basically shake it all up, chop everything, shove it in the vinegar, shake it all up, stick it in the fridge or on the counter for a couple of weeks, let it macerate. And then what you have left is nature's antibiotic. So taking like a shot a day is super helpful in maintaining immune health, preventing certain issues, the astringency of the apple cider vinegar and the way it helps affect our pH positively with digestive issues. It's just a win across the board. So again, this is an example of using food as medicine. So those are some things that, you know, you can do right from your grocery store from home. But if you're looking at nutrients, vitamin C foods, vitamin E foods, vitamin D foods, these are really all helpful. They also act as antioxidants and then help other pathways as well. And then minerals are going to be things like selenium, zinc, magnesium. Those are all really helpful for immune function, building immune cells, and just other processes in the body that we need online and working really well when we're ill or feeling under the weather. So yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch, to be honest with you. Elderberry, echinacea, golden seal. There's so many that I could list, but that's kind of a digestible version for now.
Yeah, I love it. I've had fire cider. I've had it commercially made. It's so good. I forgot about it. Yeah, it came in like a glass bottle, and I think it was called fire cider. So either they took the ancient name, or they're just calling it that. But yeah,
I wish they had. When I was in school, that would have been way more convenient. No, I know they sell it in the bottle now, but when I learned it, no, I purchased in the bottle too. But I actually do prefer making my own because I can kind of control certain things and ratios and but that's just me personally. Definitely for convenience factors, purchasing it if it's, you know, works for you, highly recommend.
Yeah. When you make it and you're putting like onion and garlic, are you like straining it then, or are you drinking it all?
So I've done it both ways. If I do leave the plant material in there, I'm gonna put it through a blender or Cuisinart, like rough chop, not like slurry or like milkshakey or anything, but a rough chop because you want it to be able to sink to the bottom and or you know get basically just a liquid, and then I would just strain it as I was taking the shots. Or, you know, I've cut it into larger pieces, just let it sit for 2 weeks and then strained everything out and only kept the liquid in the fridge and then taken that. So I personally, it's a little more palatable when you strain it and store it, but it does pack a greater punch when you leave the plant material in there and store it in the fridge. So.
Okay, very cool. I'll have to make my own sometime. That's interesting. And you can take that year round?
Yeah, year round.
Okay. Yep, cool. Or I'll be more convenient and just go buy it too. I just had totally forgotten about that stuff. But yeah, fire cider is good.
I love it. I swear by it. Now, real quick disclaimer before we go. I know we're on time, but you know, if you have ulcers, if you have acid reflux, if you have issues and you're on certain medications, definitely look into fire cider. It's not a one size fits all. It's a one size fits many. So you may not be in the many, totally okay. but safe than sorry. I would definitely double check if I were you, if you're curious about it. Just had to throw that in there. Okay, now we're good.
And Eva said, don't forget about the medicine ball, which is my personal favorite from our friends at Starbucks, which is just a tea, honey, and all kinds of good stuff in it. Sponsored by Starbucks, which we're not. All right, so let's talk about many beliefs around immune health, because there's a lot, and some are old wives' tales, some are true. So this leads us into our very fun game of true or false. So if you're going to play with us, just type in the chat what you think, true or false, and I will guess along with you. Okay, number 1, keeping your feet warm and dry will help you prevent catching a cold. And this one I remember from a past show, and the answer I believe is true.
Yay! Good memory. I'm impressed. Yeah, absolutely true. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so anytime we can increase blood flow and gas exchange and anything like that, cold feet, cold hands, it's just restricted vessels, blood's not flowing, you know, it's kind of our body's way of saving it all for the organs. So if we can keep ourselves moving or double, triple layer and keep stuff warm, it will definitely help blood flow, which, you know, again, what's blood flow? That's what helps take out the bad and add new good stuff. So the less that's happening, the more vulnerable, we are to getting sick. So, you know, it just makes sense in that way. So true.
Yeah, that one's ingrained in my memory because I went to Iceland, gosh, I don't even know how many years ago, 5-6 years ago. And we went in winter time, so it was like freezing. But our last thing we did before jumping on the plane was the Blue Lagoon, which is nice warm water, but you get out and it was like snowing.
Yep.
So I had wet hair and I got on the plane and I was a hot mess on that plane, clearly looking hot in my wet hair the whole ride. But then when I got home, I ended up getting the flu, and I probably picked it up somewhere along the way, but I remember thinking I probably should not have flown with wet hair. That was a big mistake. So
So great story, because you bring up a good point. Do you know that in any common areas, regardless of if it's an airline or, you know, a barely used office, if we're touching doorknobs, rails, places people have been before, I mean, you're touching staph and strep and funguses all day long. But that's why we say, wash your hands, don't touch your face, don't put your hands in your mouth. You know, some people still are choosing to wear masks or gloves or wipe things down. So, you know, we're exposed to that stuff all the time. But the wet hair, so you would have been exposed, is my point, to the flu or flu-like items. But the wet hair is what made you vulnerable and lower the defenses to probably that exposure, right? So that's really the difference circulation does. It's not going to prevent us from being exposed. It's not going to make us ironclad, but it will make us more vulnerable. So awesome story. I mean, sorry you were sick. Not awesome in that sense.
It was worth it to go to the Blue Lagoon, so it was all good.
Okay, good. We love that attitude. I love it. Yeah.
When we were there, there were like high winds too. There were actual waves, and it's like completely flat. It never has waves in there, and there were like waves like pelting us with like snow going sideways. But it was so worth it. So it made for a good story.
I was just gonna say, great story, great memory.
Yeah. Travel. Get a little adventure. Yeah, another day I'll tell you guys about our car went off the road in Iceland into a snowbank. That was fun too. But that's another story for another day.
That's for joint support. That one time I hurt my neck. Yeah.
Yeah, that one cool. It was just not, I won't tell the whole story, but I will say when we fell into the snowbank, my husband was driving, his fault, not mine. And I was like, well, we don't have AAA. I was like, what do we do? We were on like a remote road, and fortunately people in Iceland are super awesome and nice, and someone happened to drive by and they were like, we have tow ropes, and we were like, amazing. So they towed us out.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sure it's probably happened a time or two before, right? You don't live in that kind of climate and not run into Yeah, exactly. But everybody else does. So like, oh yeah, it's a standard Tuesday. You guys are like, what's happening?
We had in our rental car, we had like a little windshield scraper, and my husband was like using that to dig out the snow. I was like, we're gonna like be here for days. So it ended up working out. The people of Iceland are amazing. So if anyone here is from Iceland watching, you guys are amazing people. All right, let's go to question number 2. Diets high in sugar and refined carbs are putting our immune system at a disadvantage. True or false? Well, this one, it seems like we're going to have to go true.
Yes, absolutely. We all know that refined carbs, sugars, all that stuff causes inflammation. And anytime inflammation is there, it's going to add fuel to the fire, to the fight the immune system is having to do anyway, right? Because again, what does sugar do? Inflammation, oxidative stress, our immune cells are, trying to clean up another mess. And now we've just introduced yet another. So absolutely true.
Sugar, a pain in the immune health.
Yeah,
Remember
right.
our bumper sticker? All right.
So many options.
So many. All right. This is a word I'm not too familiar with, but rubbing camphor and eucalyptus oils, putting that on your chest can help with upper respiratory congestion. True or false? True or false? I'm going to go true.
Yes, absolutely. So it's kind of like, those are the herbal versions of Vicks. For those of you who are familiar with Vicks or grew up with Vicks, I know I did. Vicks is also menthol, I believe, or has a menthol, which is just mint, which is also very, it dilates airways, these things, right? So whether you're inhaling them if you put essential oil, a few drops of eucalyptus or camphor or both, in a bowl, fill it with boiling water and put a little tent and inhale, it's going to help with constriction. If you choose to rub it on with a carrier oil like coconut oil or something, jojoba, almond, all that stuff is okay. You just need something to cut the essential oil. But yes, rubbing that on is going to also, because it can be absorbed through the skin, help dilate respiratory, like bronchioles, and just circulation in general. So it's actually really, really helpful, and something I recommend for most patients who are having, congestion, sinusitis, bronchitis, throat, face, head stuff. Yeah, upper respiratory for sure.
Nice. Okay, next one. Your body fights off illness faster in your sleep. True or false? I'm going to say true.
Yeah. I think a lot of people know that one. Absolutely true. So sleep quality bolsters what are called T cells in your body. And you have two main immune cells, T cells, B cells. There are other very important immune cells, but in terms of the way that our body recognizes antigens and remembers them and fights them, these are the two cells. And the T cells are much more active when we're sleeping. So, that's why if you get 4 to 6 hours of sleep a night and you're sick, it's going to make you, those people who are like, oh, I was sick for 3 weeks, I don't know what happened. Usually, in not every case, but in most cases, I found a pattern where sleep is nil. It doesn't really happen. It's not consistent. They have some insomnia type stuff, if they work a job or have a lifestyle where they don't sleep that much. It drags out being ill. So if you can kind of, like, I always say, die and come back to life, be resurrected immune wise. Sorry if those are trigger words, don't mean them to be. But anyhow, I basically will sleep for 3 days and then it'll kick something and I'm usually good after that. So I have a fast bounce back, but it's like the all or nothing kind of. But not everybody can do that. So I feel lucky that I can, but just to show the difference that sleep makes in terms of, shortening the duration and lowering the severity of certain illnesses.
Totally. I love that. Next one, using a sauna can help build your immune system. I've never put thought into this, but I have a really good friend who's super, super healthy and they have a sauna at their house. So I'm going to go yes. She's on to something.
Yeah, definitely. So keeping warm hands, because we're increasing circulation, prevents illness.
The answer is?
Yeah. True. Absolutely true. So yeah, increasing your, did I freeze? No? Am I good?
Yeah, you froze a little bit.
Okay, sorry. My Wi-Fi, I even reset it. Sorry, anyone out there who I'm freezing to. So yes, the answer is true. Just like keeping warm hands and feet prevent illness, raising the temperature and increasing dilation even more with the sauna. It can open airways. It can thin out and break up any mucus if it's an upper respiratory, if it's an overall immune thing. It just helps circulation, gas exchange, nutrition exchange. So saunas are really good for a lot of ways, but not for everyone. Again, blood pressure people, pregnant, breastfeeding, certain things, certain conditions, be careful. So it's one size fits many, not all. So just be aware.
Okay, yeah, you're breaking up a little bit, but hopefully it gets better. Contrast showers. Let's talk about those. Best way to catch a chill, true or false?
Are you familiar with contrast showers, like what they are?
We've talked about them before, but I'm not too familiar. It's like hot, cold, hot, cold. Is that right?
Okay. Yeah. I just want to make sure. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I told a couple people, and it was like, I think I know. Yeah, and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So yes, it's about 5 to 10 minutes hot water, and then anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes of cold water, or as cold as possible water. So if it's just cool water, it's okay. But what we're creating is dilation and just flooding of blood and oxygen, immune cells, all that stuff to the area. And then the cold is shrinking or constricting the vessel, pushing it all away, to be filtered through the liver and the kidneys, to get oxygen from the lungs, to be recycled through the circulation and heart and into the body once again. So the more that we can make that happen, the better it is for the immune system. So contrast showers do not actually give you a chill, or should not. If they do, then obviously they are, contraindicated for you or shouldn't be utilized. But in most cases, contrast showers and hydrotherapy have been proven for hundreds, if not thousands of years, to be effective ways to help support the immune system.
Okay, I have to ask a question of you. Do you do ice baths, since you're so hardcore?
Yes. Yeah.
That's incredible. Oh my gosh. I don't know how you do it. I mean, that's mind over matter for sure.
Oh, the first couple times, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm only human, but yeah, if I feel slightly uncomfortable with something like that, I think that means I need to do it personally. So I've done some pretty crazy stuff, but I think the first time I had like a full emotional breakdown. It was just my nervous system just threw out everything that no longer fit. I was really stressed at the time and going through like a really tough breakup and heartbroken and angry and sad and all the things. And my friend's like, oh, this will help calm you down. It relaxes your nerves. But sometimes it can cause what I call catharsis, where things get worse, or exonerative discharge, where you're like releasing all the crap and then you feel substantially better, like vomiting and then feeling better, right? Or crying and then feeling better. So that was my first couple of experiences. But after that, it really did just straight relax. I felt vital. I felt energy. But it is difficult, and I only lasted 90 seconds my first time. I worked up to about 3.5 minutes, but still, I mean, there were people that were sitting in it for 8 minutes. It was ridiculous what people can build themselves up to. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, ice baths then cheaper than therapy. I like it. All right. Well, we did the next one, so I'm just going to skip over that. That is that chicken soup can help you recover from a cold faster. And we talked about that earlier. Yeah. So yes, it's good. And then even when you have a moderate fever, you should try to bring it down as soon as possible. True or false? This one, I'm going to say false. It's your body just trying to fight something off, and if you don't need to bring it down, you don't have to.
Yes, absolutely. Great job. Yes. So bacteria and fungus and certain parasites, these things can't live in temperatures above usually around 100, 101. So our body, like, they have trouble replicating, they start dying, becoming damaged, all that stuff when temperatures are high. So when we start to get a fever, if it's in a relative safe zone, right up until like 103.5-ish probably, then your body's just doing what it's innately built to do, right? So we want to support the fever. Hydrotherapy is a great way. Some people will put on like wool sweatsuits and sweat it out to help break it. So as long as, again, you're keeping the fever within like a healthy, safe range, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the fever being present. Now, if you're incredibly uncomfortable, can't sleep, can't rest, then obviously bringing it down a little bit might be helpful. because resting is very important. But all things considered, definitely don't chase away a fever. It's a tool that our body uses, and it's a very important tool.
Okay, next one. Eating garlic helps ward off some infections. True or false? Sure. Let's go.
I totally gave it away with fire cider, but yeah, obviously. So garlic is nature's antibiotic. It's pretty cool in that sense. It helps ear infections, it helps skin infections, it helps GI issues, stimulates the immune system. It's cardioprotective, meaning it protects the heart, helps with healthy blood pressure, all that good stuff. So garlic's pretty awesome.
Nice. And then last but not least, number 10, taking antioxidants is an amazing way to support our immune health. True or false? Now, we talked about this right off the bat, so true.
Yep, double finger guns, true. True. Yeah, it is absolutely, absolutely true. Antioxidants are the key to, I mean, outside of gut health, antioxidants really do a lot of heavy lifting for immune health. It really, really does.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for playing true or false with us. So those who just joined, we're sharing about 2 amazing antioxidant rich supplements. We have our middle world immune support, and then we have mushrooms. So we will be getting into the next one. If you guys are loving the show, hit that follow button, please. That would be awesome. And then also feel free to throw in the chat any questions you have for Dr. Jackie about immune health. She will answer them live. So let's talk about mushrooms, our favorite. All right, so I have with me our mushroom formula. And this one has 5 different mushrooms in it. There's lion's mane, chaga, miyatake, shiitake, and reishi. And Dr. Jackie, among those mushrooms, which ones are the most immunosupportive?
Out of those mushrooms, they all, I was taking a sip of water and James was so awesome. Just letting me put it down before it came to me. And I'm like, no, I'm leaving her hanging. Anyhow, sorry for that. So
it's okay. I thought it was because I said it weird. It like
I know, you're like,
I was like,
yeah. Euler, are you there? Okay, so out of all those mushrooms that you listed, they all really do help in some way for immune support, just because the way that they work in the body to eliminate lower stress, help the body adapt to stress. They're giving the immune system a fighting chance by keeping stress at bay, which is one of the number one, bad guys, I guess you could say, to the immune system. Antagonists, if this were a novel. But chaga is probably proven to be the most effective in terms of immune. Again, they all are. Shiitake is also really great. Lion's mane is great for a few different reasons. But I would probably say chaga is number 1, then maitake, then shiitake. Because they have the beta glucans, which we've talked about a bunch before, but they boost white blood cell production, and white blood cells make up our immune system. So anytime we can get more of those guys, good on you,
Yes. All right. So in addition to immune support, what are some of the other benefits of a mushroom supplement?
Oh man, so many. Okay. It helps with cognition. You're going to think clearer usually. You're going to think faster because it is also, and that's known as a nootrope, right? It helps the brain, basically just brain support. It also, again, immune, we just mentioned that, obviously, but it's going to also help with sleep. And just because, again, your immune system's working better, your cognition's working better, you're lowering your stress because it's an adaptogen. So sleep, mood stabilization, mental, emotional stuff and balance comes in because of that. So when the machine's working better, usually our mentality is also, we notice improvement, a greater sense of well-being, more energy, stuff like that. So it really does help a lot of different systems, mushrooms. It's pretty great. That's outside of the antioxidant activity that it's already very, very high in. So I don't know. I feel like it has superpowers. They all do.
They do. All right. Well, let's do true or false with our mushroom supplement and just fun mushroom facts. So number 1, you just totally gave it away, but that's how we like to play here. So if you were listening, you'll know the answer. Mushrooms are both nootropics and adaptogens. True or false? And I was listening carefully, so I'm going to say true.
Yes. Yes,
Yay.
they help the brain, the adrenal gland. Yeah, they get through the blood-brain barrier, so they're awesome. They work so
Awesome. All right.
fast.
Really? I'm going to pop one
Yeah.
here in a second. I love these. These are like one of my favorites. Okay. Two. Mushrooms don't need light to grow. True or false? And I'm going to say true because they kind of grow underground.
Yeah, you're right. So remember, mushrooms are fungi. They're not plants, so they don't have chlorophyll. So only plants that contain chlorophyll require the sun to grow. And so mushrooms don't go through photosynthesis, so they don't need the sun. A little bit of sun is actually pretty good for them. But yeah, they kind of like they prefer like dark, damp. If they can choose.
They can choose, yes. Well, maybe they do have little brains. Are they genetically closer to humans or plants? Take your choice, guys. And I'm going to say humans.
I'm curious to know what everyone else thinks. Yeah, we did mention this in a previous episode, but yeah, we're actually 9 million years more closely related to fungi than we are to plants.
Wow.
That's a lot. I know.
It is a lot. All right, next question. Research has found that lion's mane mushroom can help repair nerve damage. True or false? We didn't talk about that one before, I don't think, but I'm going to go true. Sounds cool.
It does, yeah. So lion's mane in particular is kind of like known as the dementia mushroom because it helps with cognition improvement, and it can help actually repair damaged nerves. The myelin sheath, or like the insulation of our neurons, the things that help the signals travel faster and more efficiently and accurately, is known as myelin. And lion's mane helps with that, helps repair that. Which is huge, again, for cognition. When I'm like, oh, boost your brain, people are kind of like, oh, I want my brain boosted. But for me, I can actually physically see the restructuring of myelin, preventing things like dementia, increasing memory, cognition, executive functioning, budgeting, time management, remembering to-do lists, right? While you're at the grocery store, not forgetting that one thing. It seems like little things, but all that adds up, right? And that's lion's mane, can directly address all those things. I think that's cool.
Wow, that's so cool. All right, and our last question. Most valuable part of the mushroom is the top or the fruiting body. True or false? And this is true, and our supplements are mostly made of fruiting bodies, or all fruiting bodies.
Absolutely. So we don't want the root system, the mycelium. We want the stalk and the cap. And so those are the fruiting bodies, and that's where all the good stuff happens. That's where all the nutrients and their magic powers live, is the fruiting bodies.
Nice. All right. Well, middle world mushrooms are made of fruiting bodies only. So it's not most, it's only fruiting bodies, which is awesome. And it's 5 different amazing mushrooms. So it's the lion's mane, the one that can help with the nerve damage, chaga, maitake, shiitake, and reishi. And you're going to get 60 veggie capsules inside of your bottle, and they're only $23.09 per bottle. And then you're going to get 20% off because you're watching our live, and we like to reward you for that. So you might be wondering, what is this little like charm hanging off of my bottles? Well, this is called the Middle World Whisper, and it's just a positive mantra or affirmation. This one says every day is a new beginning. Every single bottle has a different whisper on them, and I think they're just one of the coolest parts of the supplements, because when you take it, you can't help but pause and read it, and it's helping your mind and your body form that connection and help with some emotional healing as well. And since we're talking about immune health today, Dr. Jackie, we probably have time for just a couple more questions, but is there a connection between our emotions and maintaining a strong immune system?
Yes, absolutely. So we all know that certain thoughts feel icky and certain thoughts feel smiley. The icky thoughts make icky substances. Well, not icky, that's a qualifying word. But, for the sake of simplicity, if it makes you feel bad, stressed, overwhelmed, sad, heartbroken, guilty, shameful, any of the stuff that feels icky, just know that your body's producing a cocktail of stress hormones. It is kind of just slowly degrading different organ systems, and primarily one of those is going to be your immune system. So absolutely our emotional state, our thought process, all of those things can affect our health. Just like when we focus on positive thoughts, things that inspire us, things that make us feel more connected, relationships that do the same, tasks that do the same, where we're creating self-care and happy habits, that's going to release endorphins, and those are going to release serotonin and dopamine and all of these neurotransmitters and hormones that create healing, that lower pain receptors, that give the body time to be in parasympathetic or rest and digest, where we're building healthy cells. So every thought is really a choice. In are we, bad thoughts are just as bad as eating processed sugar or dairy or drinking alcohol or cigarettes or any of those other things that negatively impact our biology. Thoughts are one of them. So when I talk about diet with patients, I'm not just talking about the food, it's anything we're taking in. Social media, our own thoughts, our relationships, those who are closest to us and how they speak to us. These are all variables in our diet or what we consume and take in that are going to affect our health. Primarily immune health is going to be one of them. Gut health, immune health, which both cascade into mental health, mental and emotional health. So yes, absolutely two sides of the same coin. They're highly related. If you're stressing out and or suffering in one, I wouldn't be surprised that you are experiencing discomfort in the other. So definitely find someone that you can speak to help process all that stuff, because you're worth healing, And be your own friend, everyone. Be your own advocate. Talk to yourself the way you would talk to your best friend. Seriously, I know it sounds cheesy, but it is so true. Because you're literally biohacking yourself when you do that. You're literally changing how your biochemistry works and how your brain is wired by doing that. Every time you do that positive thing and refocus into that positive thought or emotional state. It's so powerful, and it's free, and we have it at any point we want to employ it. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, love that. But so good. It just like we're done with time, but it just reminded me. I don't know why our shows always make me think of my little girls. I don't know why, because there's a lot more to my life than that. But I take them to this trampoline park where they jump a lot, and there's this like really high thing that they can jump off, and they land on this like big inflatable pillow. Scares me, but they're fearless. They do it. But my little 4-year-old would, like, the first like 10 times she did it, she would get up there and she would look down and she would like say out loud to herself, I can do this. I got this. And it was so cute, and just like that positive self-talk. And, of course I'm at the bottom, and the minute she's done, I'm like, you did it, positivity, positivity, positive. But to see her self-talk like that was so cute. So, yeah, we need to do more of that as adults. I for sure do. For sure. I don't,
and acknowledging and each other and our kids. Sorry. Sometimes with the lag, I can't tell.
I know.
But I was just going to say, reinforcing that in her and teaching her, because that will teach her to reinforce it. Like, hey, I noticed that you were, you had great self-talk. You were being your own friend, and that's really cool. And that makes me want to be my own friend. So thanks. Like that acknowledgement is what helps reinforce even further, because she definitely looks up to you. Your mommy, you are queen of the world. So it's cool that you guys, can have that relationship where you see that and it inspires you to want to do the same. I think that's awesome.
Oh yeah. I mean, as an adult, how many times in our life when we come up to a challenge, instead of like telling ourselves, we can do this, I got this, we talk ourselves out of it. We're like, yeah, no, I'm going to go back to my comfort zone. So it's a good lesson from a 4.
I know.
To just talk to yourself into it. All right, well, we got to wrap up, but let's leave everyone with the top 3 most important things about immune health that you want to know.
Okay. Relax, move, and fuel. Relax. Get a lot of sleep. Like, if your body's asking for it, rest. De-stress. Stress is causing more problems than helping. So that's the relax. Move, dance, exercise, cry, get stuff out. If it's an emotional thing causing immunity, if it's a lifestyle thing that's causing immune issues, just move your body, move it up, move it out. And then 3 is fuel. So again, drink water, coconut water, stay hydrated, have food as thy medicine, eat the rainbow, supplements, herbs, all that good stuff. Fuel, fuel, fuel. Support that immune system to do its job. And you can't go wrong, those 3 things. Relax, move, and fuel.
Those are good. I love it. And if you guys learned anything in our show, make sure you hit the follow button. That would be awesome. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow. We're on at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Hear the whispers from within, balance to restore, ailings to relieve. Feel the nature keeping us, nature healing us, flowers, leaves, and roots within. Hear the mind calming you, soothing you, love and kindness inside out. Let the herbs from middle world heal. Welcome wellness, welcome wellness. It's revealed herbs, middle world herbs.